everyone, I'm here with the favorites, a monthly favorites. It is already almost the end of January 2019. How did that happen? I don't know. I haven't done a favorites video in a while and I wasn't really sure where I left off. So I'm like, I'm just going to do a few of my favorites from January. I don't have like a ton of things. Some people, they get these big hauls and things. That rarely happens to me. But I'm going to go through kind of what my favorite decks have been, or what my favorite deck of the month is, favorite book, what I've been reading, what I've been listening to, what I've been watching on TV, and just some little odds and ends, that kind of thing. So if you're interested in that, that's cool. Stay tuned. I'm going to start with the woo-woo stuff too, and then move on to other stuff. So if you're not interested in the other stuff, you can just, click away, whatever. If you're interested in supporting me, I do have a Patreon. I post every weekday, or try to every weekday on my Patreon. Mondays, I do Magic Monday, where we talk about, it's part of our coven. So we talk about where the moon is that week. I do like a crystal and an animal of the week, or not of the month kind of thing. I kind of do crystal. I do crystal, animal, plant, and then the god or goddess that we're working with for the next lunar cycle. Tuesdays, I do a tarot card. I'm walking through the tarot one by one, each card. Wednesdays, we do our book club. We're working with Women Who Run with the Wolves. Thursday, I have like an Astro Basics video where I talk about basic astrology concepts. And then Fridays is when I do the Wit School, our lesson for the week. So if you're interested, you can go over there. If not, that's okay. I'm still posting stuff on YouTube. It's all good. You could just stay here too if you want. So let's get started. All right, so my favorite card deck of the month. There's two. The first is, I forgot to pull it out, but luckily it is right here under the altar on the shelves, is the Spirit Animal Oracle deck by Colette Baron-Reid. I have been loving these decks. I have to admit I was a little worried because she's been pumping them out a little bit faster, and I'm really worried it's going to get like Doreen Virtue, where they just stamp the name on it, but the quality suffers. So far though, no. So the Spirit Animal Oracle is what I'm using on my altar for the for the year of 2019 as my daily draw. And the artwork is beautiful. Who's the artist on this again? She should be more prominently displayed because her art is beautiful. I cannot find it here, but whoever's doing her art, and I know she keeps using the same artist, is amazing. I like too that this is magnetic box. You've got your little book there. They're doing more of a matte print Hay House now. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but the cardstock is nice. And then the art is just, it's gorgeous. I love a good animal deck too. And she's got like some different animals in here than, like she's got an eel. Like what card deck, animal card deck has an eel? A white raven. There's a pig in here. I like the piggies. There we go. And there's a wasp. Everybody likes wasps. There they are. So it's a really lovely deck, and I think there's something like 60 some cards in here. Like, it is thick. You have a lot of them. So, especially when you're doing daily draws, you want kind of a bigger deck where you're not just going to get the same cards all the time. So I've really been enjoying working with that. And I like too that she's got like a right side up and upside down. So there's like so many messages that you could get from these cards. The other one I've been loving working with is the Everyday Tarot. Again, we've got the magnetic. This is put out by Biddy Tarot, Bridget Esselmont. I know I said this in other videos. The only thing I worry about with this one is the plastic here may crack and get broken, especially because this is in my purse and it is cold right now. Like it is, I think it was minus 43 last night with a wind chill. So when you go out in this kind of weather, plastic has a tendency to crack and break, so I am a little concerned about that. Anyway, these cards are really cute, great for doing little readings on the go. Again, it's a bit of a thicker cardstock, and you've got this purple and gold and white. It's a little more modernistic than what I usually like or usually read with, but I've been really enjoying it. And I like the size too, and I love that it just kind of fits in my purse and I can just pop it in there and go. And if somebody needs an emergency card pulled for them, I can do that. So really loving this little tiny deck. As for books I've been reading, there's two books that have kind of been my favorites of the month. I'm just going to put these aside over here. So the first is to go with the Everyday Tarot. I actually found this first, and I was looking for the matching deck, and I didn't realize they put them kind of with the novelties instead with the regular card decks, but still, I found this. I found the Everyday Tarot. It's got the same kind of scheme to it. This is a really cute book. I was a little concerned about it, that it might be a little too beginnery, but it's not. You know, like if you're a beginner, definitely, I would recommend this book. It's a good book. It doesn't give you the step-by-step meanings, but it talks more about working with a deck. It's got great little graphics and things. It's got ideas for spreads, for using it for manifesting goals, for decision making. So it's actually like a really, I haven't got all the way through, but using it for like relationship readings, that kind of stuff. So if you're a beginner, this isn't so much a cookbook of like, here's what the Two of Swords means, you know, that kind of thing. But it's more about working with the deck on different levels, like using it for meditation, using it for different kinds of readings, reading for yourself, that kind of stuff. So I would still recommend this deck. And even if you're, you know, an experienced person like me, I still got stuff out of this book. And like I said, I'm about halfway through, and I've been really enjoying it. The next thing is not woo. Next things are not going to be woo. The next thing that I got oh no, I dropped something. I'll pick it up later. Is The History of Heavy Metal by Andrew O'Neill. I love this book. It is, how do I explain this book? It's not a super big read. I think it's only like 200 and some pages, 270 pages. And if you are interested in getting into metal, interested in knowing more about it, I highly recommend this book because he does go through kind of the history of it, but it's super funny. I do worry a little bit that if you are totally new, there's some inside jokes in here, but it's super funny. It is lighthearted, it's honest, it's straightforward. He writes in a style that's very easy and accessible. He's got little graphs like this. And even though he put in here, he's a list of things that are not heavy metal, and he put Guns N' Roses in here, I still forgive him because, yes, Guns N' Roses is hard rock, I suppose, not metal. But you cannot write a book of talking about the history of metal without talking about them, and he does. So, haha to Andrew O'Neill, because you can't get away from them. But he talks about all sorts of different bands. He talks about death metal. He talks about new metal. He talks about origins of metal, where metal is now, and he has a funny little epilogue at the back of what he thinks is going to happen in the future. So it is a very cute, fun read. So I do highly recommend this book. Can recommend it enough. All right. Listening to this month, I did get last month. It's not brand new. I think it came out in 2017. In This Moment, their album Ritual. I've been listening to that. So if you're interested in like a female-fronted hard rock / metal band, I do recommend them. It's also very witchy. I mean, the album's called Ritual. It has songs on it like The Witching Hour and Joan of Arc and part God, part devil. Like, it's just very occulty, and if you're interested in that stuff, I think you would really, really like it. So that's been the album that I've been listening to a lot this particular month. As far as TV shows go, I did start watching the Tidying Up with Marie Kondo, which I quite like. I like her books. I like her style. I know some people get really angry watching it, but I've been loving it, and I think people misinterpret her sometimes a little bit. There's this meme going around where she's like, I only keep 30 books. So people are like, no, I can't keep just 30 books. She's not saying you have to only keep 30 books. She's saying she only keeps 30 books. And I think it's important to understand that she comes from a place where there's limited space, and so you have to use your space very well. And not to stereotype, but houses do tend to be smaller in Japan. So you have to use your space well. But she tells people, if you love something, keep it. So if you love your 200 books, then keep them. It's about displaying them in a way so that you can look at them and love them. So I've been watching that and enjoying that. I just started watching, so I'm not all the way through. And then I also started watching a show called Project Blue Book. It's on the History Network here in Canada. I'm not sure what network it would be on in the States, but it is starring the guy that played Littlefinger in Game of Thrones, and he plays a scientist in the 1950s, and he's working with the military, and they are investigating UFO claims, and it's based on actual government files. So it's fictional, but it's based on some government files where the United States government allegedly tried to cover up UFO sightings and things like that and explain them away. So it's interesting as far as a fictional television show goes. I think that the acting is very good. It has a sense of mystery to it. And if you like, 1950s, 1960s type space age type stuff, then you probably would like this show, or if you're interested in UFOs. I'm not a huge UFO freak or anything. I just found this show interesting, that's for sure. As for podcasts, I'm trying to think if I found any new podcasts this month. Oh, I did. I found one called By the Book. I'm still kind of a little on the fence about it, but basically it's two ladies and they take a self-help book and they do the self-help book for 2 weeks and then they review it and they talk about what worked and what didn't work. So it's interesting, especially if you're interested in self-help books, you can kind of get a gauge on whether it's good or not. And they also have they'll read people's emails and comments about the book. So it could be that people disagree, so you kind of get a bit of a balanced point of view about it as well. So if you're interested in that, I would say check that out as well. Now for little sundries and things that I have this month. First of all, I got during the Christmas season at Bath & Body Works. It's a newer scent, flavor, whatever you want to call it. Spiced gingerbread swirl. I'm loving this. I love gingerbread. I love ginger things, but this is like a vanilla-y ginger. It's like a sweet ginger smell. I love it. And I hope they have something like this next year. I really hate when they bring out a seasonal, like fall or Christmas item, and you love it, and then you hope it comes back next year, and then it doesn't. So really been enjoying this because I do like my scented baths, that's for sure. What else? Oh, a friend of mine went to the Philippines for a wedding, and they brought me back just some little items, some little like treats and things, and one of them was this little sushi guy. Look at him. He's a little sushi. He's so cute. But he's more than just a tiny sushi. If you open him up, there is a tote bag in here. Let's bring him out. Will it work? Come on. Aha! So there's a little tote bag, and it also has the sushi on it. Look at that. So you've got a little tote bag. So if you're ever like, do you need a bag? You're like, no, I don't, because I have a bag in my bag. And it folds up nice and neat, and then you stuff him back into the little sushi guy. It's really, really cute. I'm sure they have these in other places too, but it's cute, and it's from the Philippines, and that's really cool. And it's a little sushi, and I mean, who doesn't love a little tiny sushi? Like, come on. All right, stuffing this back in here. I'm trying to think if there were any other favorites this week. Or this month, pardon me. Well, I did a couple of things that were cool. I had a art show. I was part of an art show at the beginning of January. I'm going to do a little vlog, I think, about it. I did film some things, but I'm going to try to do some vlogging where I talk about what I did during the month. Not that I do a lot of exciting things, but if I do something exciting, I should film it. Let me know if you're interested in that. So I was part of an art show. I had a piece in there, and that was lots of fun. It was very successful. Lots of people came out, so it was just really, really good. I think that's probably like the super fun January thing that I did. But like I said, my life is pretty routine, so I don't have like super crazy things happening to me all the time. But anyway, that was my month of January. Let me know how January was for you. What are your favorite things? Did you like any of the stuff in here? Let me know. Thank you again so much for watching. And as always, peace, love,